Didi, look, it kind of feels like the morning after the night before. We might as well get it out of the way and ask you about Germany. And look, what's the feeling there now after that last night?
Huge disappointment. I don't think expectations were as high as they were in recent years, because there were a few uncertainties about the team, and one or two things happened with that photo with the two players with the Turkish president. Then the lead up to the tournament, the results weren't really the best. So I don't think expectations were as high as they would have been in recent years. But I just feel there was a certain complacency about the team, because after winning the Confed Cup last year, I think everybody thought, you know, our tournament starts with the knockout phases or with the knockout phase, and the group was, I think, tougher and harder than people thought. They didn't deserve to go through. They didn't perform over the 3 games, and I think the problem the manager hasn't really managed to sort out was to bring the crop of young players who won the Confed Cup last year, 12 months ago, to really gel it with the older players who didn't take part in the Confederations Cup. And we may hear one or two things coming out in the next few days or weeks. They didn't look at team. A lot of ill-disciplined performances. And if you do that at the biggest stage, you can't expect to go through.
Richard, it has been a bizarre tournament, though. You've had Argentina scraping by, Germany obviously going out. We've had a bit of a mixed one from Brazil. I mean, it's been very entertaining, if you want to call it that.
It has been. I think the smaller nations this time around, they've come really compact and defensively. They're organised, so it's harder for the big teams. The big teams are brilliant when they have space and they have time to play, but the teams this year are all compact. It's very difficult to break them down, and set pieces have been huge, which the bigger sides don't generally work on. Probably they like to think they can win in open play, but yeah, it's certainly made for an interesting group stage. And I think as the tournament goes on, when the bigger sides are playing each other, it will open up a lot more, and you'll see more flowing football and more goals, hopefully.
It is, of course, last day of group stages today. Kevin, are we going to get more drama today in this one in particular, do you reckon?
I hope so. It's set up for it, you know. It's the first time I've been able to call, or not call, but have a good opinion. This one, Colombia, Senegal, Japan. I feel for the 3 of them, especially Colombia. Were so good the other night, and they could conceivably go out tonight. Senegal have been excellent, and Japan have sort of snuck along in the group and are topping it at the moment. It's great for us watching it, but I would really feel for Colombia, because I think they put on one of the performances of the World Cup so far. They have a strong front 4, but Senegal have been really solid and really impressive as well. So it really is up in the air.
There is implications further along the line for everyone here as well. And here's a look at the graphic if you want to see what the path to the final looks like. And Didi, when you look at that, one thing strikes you, because you say there's one side of the draw I'd like to be on and one I'd imagine you wouldn't.
That's right, and it also applies for Belgium and England, who play later on tonight. This group, you want to win the group, because if you top it, you play against the second-place team of the group that plays tonight, and then you've got a possible game against Sweden or Switzerland in the quarter-final. Certainly, the right-hand side of the draw is certainly the one you would like to be in, but at the same time, you know, you need to see what unfolds tonight as well, because, you know, if you talk about England in a minute, you could face Japan if they were to finish second in today's group, in our game. And I would rather have a Japan last 16 game against a possible Colombia game in the last 16, because there might not be a last 8 when you play Colombia. So there's a lot of permutations, but I think in this group they will all try to win their group. As for Colombia's case, if you offer them second place now, I think they'll probably take it, because there's a genuine chance that Japan doesn't lose against Poland, and they have to beat Senegal. So I think Colombia is probably the team that's worried the most at the moment. I think they will take any place in the last 16 at the moment.
That's the thing, Richard, isn't it? That point that Didi makes there, that you could say, oh, we don't want to meet them in the quarterfinals, and then actually end up losing your last 16 game.
Well, that's it. You can't look too far ahead, but that's what makes today's game fascinating, is that draw. So when you're looking at the draw and you think, right, I want to be on that right-hand side, both teams have to win the game today. Colombia obviously more so. Senegal will settle for the draw, but they'll both be going for the win, because they know if they can get on that right-hand side, there's a great chance of possibly a semi-final place before they would meet maybe Spain or Croatia or something like that. So it makes today interesting, because Senegal will probably like to sit defensively and go counter-attack, whereas Colombia, they just attack from all angles. They've got goal scorers throughout their team, so it's 50-50 at the moment. It's one of the toughest games to call, because there's so much on it and it's so interesting.